Hello. Hina Bhatt asked me to talk a little bit about self portraits. As an artist, I have done my share of self portraits over the years in different phases of my life, beginning with when I was a student in JJ. Um, I started thinking about self portrait in terms of its history. When it was started, this idea of self-portrait, I found out it's a bit more complicated to understand in a linear fashion, because the first mirror, the precursor of modern mirror, modern glass mirror, was a metal disc, a polished metal disc that was first made by the Egyptians. So then I started thinking about who made the first. So the self-portrait idea, the paintings, was first made popular by a bunch of German Renaissance artists, but namely Albrecht Dürer, the 15th, 16th century artist. He was the one who made that self-portrait idea very famous back in Renaissance. Then if you think about it, the gap between 5th century and the 15th century, it's about 1000 years of gap. So how did this idea came about being, or excuse me, why was there so much gap? Why didn't artists immediately started doing self-portrait? Here's what happened. The age of reason, the Renaissance, is probably the bigger cause of this. I'll give you an example here. Bear with me for a second. If you have seen the movie Dhamal, a very comedy movie, funny comedy movie, Dhamal by Sanjay Dutt, there is a everybody is trying to get to Goa to find that treasure, if you remember that. So there is one scene where Arshad Varshi and Javed Jaffrey, they they're trying to hunch a ride, and they found one South Indian person giving them a lift to Goa. And then once they sit in his car, they ask for an introduction, what your name is. And this driver, the South Indian person, he started talking about his name, his father's name, his grandfather's name, and then his Gao's name, and his village name, and his community's name, and so on and so forth. It's a very funny scene. But if you think about it, that's how the names were. That's how the names were before Renaissance, before the age of reason. It is during Renaissance the importance on the self was placed more dominantly, more prominently than before. So that's how I think it started. You can see the evidence of this even now. If you see somebody's surname is Shimpi or somebody's surname is Vinkar in Marathi culture, why are they called Vinkar? Vinkar means bunne wala, the one who weaves, the weaving technology. That's their profession. So the profession, the name of profession is attributed to the name. So the individuality, the stress on individuality had began in the Renaissance, and that's where this idea of self came about being, to be so dominant, and so we began to preoccupy ourselves with that idea in our mind. So that's how I feel why we started self-portrait. Anyhow, there's more to it, but to come back to 5 important points that I feel why artists make self-portrait is: number 1, to advertise or to proclaim our skills. The simple explanation of that is, when you find something new, it's like you learn a tabla or a guitar or a sitar. You always find an opportunity to play for somebody, to make somebody listen to hey, I learned, मैंने तबला नया सीखा है. So you always find that you want to advertise those skills, that achievement, because somewhere in that gratification, you kind of celebrate yourself, celebrate your spirit. Um, so that's the first thing: proclaim your skills. Second is practice of craft. We all want to hone our skills, and the only way to improve your skill is by practicing it. You keep yourself connected to the self. You keep yourself connected to your practice, excuse me. And with that practice, you constantly improve yourself. The third reason is to explore your inner turmoil and desires. We all make art because there is an idealistic element to creating art. Somewhere there is a dissatisfaction about life or the world. That's why we make art. That's why we try to create something that is beautiful, a little bit more perfect on a canvas than what's out there, than what's in the universe. And there is always this ideas of yourself, your inner turmoil, or the psychological element of yourself, of who you are and your desires, your aspirations. How do you express that? It's almost like this point is very therapeutic, if you will. So you explore your inner desires and turmoils by practicing or by painting yourself. That would be my third reason. Fourth reason is, I'll quote a famous writer in India, lyrics writer, a famous poet actually, Sahir Ludhianvi. I don't know how many of you guys know that name, but Sahir Ludhianvi once said that every artist has one true love in their life, and that true love is love with yourself. So I think fourth reason is, somewhere we have this vanity in us about ourselves, the image of yourself, and we travel, we explore that vanity, we travel in that vanity, and we take a look at it, we observe it, we ravish in it. So by doing self-portrait, you sort of ravish that vanity. And the fifth reason for me is we all have a desire to leave something behind us for posterity. And what would be a better image than to leave a painting of yourself for posterity after you're gone? And there is one signature image that stays on this earth. And what could be more apt and relevant image than a signature image of yourself? So these are the 5 reasons I have, I think, why we make self-portrait, in my opinion. We'll talk more about it. I'm about to come to India, and in one of my lectures, I'll be talking more about this. So enjoy your self-portrait event on the platform Hina Bhatt Art Ventures. Bye.